So in Stockholm, generally, they only build with 5 stories high.
Five or six, yeah.
Five or six, but you've got these 2 towers here. This is the first time I've ever seen them. It's night time. And I'll see them tomorrow during the daytime, and apparently not so nice. Some people really like them, some people don't. Welcome to Stockholm. Here we are out on the Baltic Sea. Lovely day, Saturday afternoon. Waiting to go on the ferry over to this island over here.
Do you want to stand outside? Do you want to go in? Yeah.
It is like an underground train that's being turned into a ferry.
Yeah.
So over there's the Luna Park, and this is the boat which goes to Ireland for people to get drunk on, apparently. Go on a literal booze cruise to international waters.
We're now at a place in a bar or restaurant called Zum Franziskaner, which according to myth is the place where the Vasa ship, when it sank, and it actually just sank out here in the Baltic Sea, which you can see from the window. It is said that the captain, the first thing he did, because he knew that I'm probably going to get executed for this, he swam ashore, went up to Zum Franziskaner, had a shot, and then he dared to go to the royal castle and tell what had happened.
That was his dying wish, apparently. There you go. Anyway, the beer's really good. I've got this one. It's a dark lager, I think. Mm-hmm. Pretty good. Christian, you've gone white. I've gone black. You've gone white.
I've gone with the Weizen.
Skull.
And also, as regards Zum Franziskaner, it has a lot to do with the because I think it's one of the oldest restaurants that we have in Stockholm, Sweden. And it's very German in that regard, but German was the official royal language in Sweden for a very, very long time, and Stockholm was one of the largest cities in the Hanseatic order. So you find here in the old town in Stockholm, you find very much a German heritage. Street names, churches, and everything in German. I thought you can eat also traditional Viking food.
Viking restaurant.
But it's more beautiful than good.
Yeah, exactly. Like you eat rabbit stew, and then you always drink this mjöd, which tastes like, it tastes like shit. The Pirate Bar in Stockholm. It's down in
must be big now in Halloween.
I think it was Eric the 14th or something, who he was probably deranged in his head or something like that. He was king of Sweden, but he didn't do it very well, so he was ousted, and then he became a pirate in the Baltic Sea.
The Nobel House.
Then the party is here.
Yeah. And actually, I think that the Swedish Academy does not any longer have the rights to appoint the Peace Prize. It's been given to Norway.
Yeah.
But we do appoint here all the scientific Nobel Prizes, all the literature prizes, and everything. And here you have the well. It was called the Central Well, where everyone in the entire old town here got their water from. And it goes down to a basin or whatever you call it, where the Lake Mälaren and the Baltic Sea meets. So it's supposed to be very healthy to drink the water from here. We can, I don't know if...
Ever try?
Maybe they shut it off for the winter. Like we do in Norway.
Yeah, because it was actually, it was on like just a month ago. Or something. All of these houses, if you look at that house, the red house. Now I don't know if this is true, but the red house here it is said that all of the white stones represent one royal family. So not royal family, but what do you call that if you're a count or something? Whatever. That was
Noble family, something like that.
Yes, noble family. That was butchered here on this square by the Danish king Kristian. So it's called the in folklore, or in traditional like Stockholm, we call it like the Danish house because of the Stockholm bloodbath. And since we are now at the highest point in Old Town, because they beheaded so many of the Swedish noble people, the blood just kept flowing down from the square. So,
gruesome.
but it's a nice square. See that black thingy up there? That is
On the corner.
Yes, that is said to be a cannonball from the Russians when they came
Wow.
and they tried to conquer us, but they didn't. They never succeeded.
How did it end up here? From a ship?
Yeah, well, it's probably just
Okay.
This is the most narrow street in Northern Europe. We're about to go up it.
just look at this.
You can touch both walls at the same time.
Yeah.
So what about 1.5 meters wide, maybe?
And it's getting narrower.
Yeah, and look, it narrows as you walk up these fancy steps.
It is kind of cozy.
Yeah. Cozy is the word to describe Stockholm, definitely. Time to try some schnapps.
We're now located at the Golden Piece, which is one of the most historically important restaurants in Old Town in Sweden. We were just informed by the waiter who came and offered us local Swedish schnaps that was produced only for this place on the small island of Malmö. You can only find it here. You can't go to any shop anywhere in Sweden. You can only find it here. But we're actually sitting at what is called Taubes booth. I did not know that. Evert Taube is one of the most important Swedish poets and musicians of probably the last 200 years or something like that. He used to sit at exactly this table. I have no idea about it.
There we go. So we are walking, or sitting literally in the footsteps of a Swedish cultural icon. There we go. Skål.
Skål. It was really, balance or whatever you put it.
I spilled half of it because I was vlogging at the same time.
Yeah.
Vlogging and multitasking isn't great. Let's enjoy it now. I'd say it's possibly the purest schnapps I've ever tasted in my life. Delicious. Alright guys, so now it's Sunday, the next day of my Stockholm little city break, I guess. I know I've said before that I don't do city breaks, but apparently I do now. And the temperature has really dropped today. And this sign, I guess, will become more and more relevant over the coming months. Don't use your spiky tyres here in the city. By spiky tyres, I of course mean chains. They put chains around the tyres out in the countryside here to help cars with a bit of traction in slippery conditions. So here we are now outside the Royal Swedish Opera, 130 years old, a majestic building. And it's been a lovely little stroll around Stockholm so far this morning. What I would say about this city is that it really doesn't feel, to me at least, as a visitor, like it has a true centre. It's spread out across 24,000 different islands, some of them with only one house on them, maybe even less than that. So whilst that leaves the city feeling perhaps a little bit disjointed, what is nice is that you can stroll down any street really and find something of interest to have a look at. I really like it. It's a beautiful mid-autumn day. And so what are my impressions so far from being in Stockholm, Sweden's capital, for the first time ever, for 36 hours so far? Well, the obvious countries to compare it to are obviously Norway and Denmark, the Scandinavian neighbours. And I would say Sweden feels a little bit more intense for some reason. I'm not sure why. The other two feel just that little bit more chilled out to me. Here, there's like an intensity in the air, which is a bit unexplainable really. It's like the perfect country to live in if you look around. But it's almost like Swedes go looking for trouble sometimes. If you think about the football, for example, you often hear about a bit of trouble at the football matches, and it's almost like the society's too perfect, that people need an outlet, people need to vilify something. For example, also alcohol consumption. We saw in Malmö that you have to go to this state monopoly to buy any of your tipples that you want to drink at the weekend or any time really, unless you want to go to a bar, of course. And then when you do go into a bar, you find that the security, they can be a little bit harsh. I've seen people chucked out of places just for looking drunk. You know, innocent until proven guilty doesn't seem to be a thing here. So yeah, I would say if you want a Nordic experience, but you want it to be a bit more chilled out, go to Denmark or Norway. But here in Sweden, you do have that benefit that it's a little bit cheaper. So you can get that Scandi vibe whilst making your money go that little bit further. Even today on what should be a sleepy Sunday morning, there are a couple of helicopters flying around, and you know, it could be a really calm place, but for some reason they've decided to fly a couple of helicopters over the capital city, creating like a rumbling effect. And it's just nearly perfect. It's almost in that uncanny valley, you know, it's so close to being perfect that actually some parts can be a little bit disappointing. It just seems to be a little bit more of an air of seriousness and anxiety amongst the local population than in the neighbouring countries in Denmark and Norway. Not sure if that's got anything to do, of course, with what Donald Trump was saying about what's going on in Sweden. Who knows? I mean, Kristian was telling me yesterday that there are certain places in the city where he grew up. He's from Stockholm, of course, where he used to hang out as a child, as a teenager, and now he wouldn't dare go there because they become ghettoized. And he was even talking about murder rates, which isn't really something I associate with Scandinavia. So now down here on the quay, we're opposite the Grand Hotel. And you can see we've got the flag of Sweden right in the middle, and then you've got the flags of Sweden's allies. So you've got the United States and the UK out on the flank. So I guess that's like, you are our allies, but you know, you're kind of a bit furthest from us. And then you've got Norway. So as you look at it, it's on the left. But if you imagine this is a kind of procedural situation, this is actually saying that Norway is Sweden's right-hand man. Of course, you shake with your right hand in this part of the world as well. And you've got the Finnish flag just next door here. You've got the other Scandinavian brothers, Denmark just there, and then Germany as well. And you do really get a German vibe here as well, I would say, compared to the other Scandinavian and Nordic countries. This one has definitely got the most German influence. I've spent a lot of time in Copenhagen and Berlin over the years, and I would say Stockholm definitely feels more like Berlin than Copenhagen. Except for the canals, of course, but it's things like the metro, things like the way the society's organised, even graffiti, stuff like that. It just has more of a Berlin vibe. See, look, these parking attendants, look, Swedes really love their rules. Even on Sunday, going around giving out tickets like this, look. Of course, this city and country have many positive things about them. Of course, very clean, super high standard of living. You can get whatever you want, whenever you want, almost as well. The metro runs all night, for example, and this of course is to reduce problems, mitigate them. Outstanding nature, water wherever you go. You can drink the tap water in a way which you just cannot in other parts of the world, even in other capital cities in Europe, without a doubt. Oh look, this bus is going to Sofia, or Sofia. Go back to nearly 1 year ago when I went there with Panos. Why don't you check that out after this video? Great times there. Now here I am outside the Danish embassy, one of the sister Scandinavian countries, and this is actually probably the first European Union flag that I have seen here in Sweden. Swedes, although their country is part of the European Union, they're not really flag-waving Europeans. They kind of tend to stick around in there in the European Union, whilst at the same time being a little bit cautious of it, let's say. The Danes are actually the same, but I guess this European Union flag, maybe it's a requirement outside Danish or other European Union member embassies. They do have a big flag here. And this isn't just an embassy, it's Denmark House, so there's also, I presume, a cultural centre inside, and you can come here to buy Danish licorice. World famous, of course, very nice. So in Denmark they make all different types of craft licorice, dark truffle, mango vanilla, caramel date. Curious sweets here in Scandinavia and the Nordic countries. Yes, these two posters in the window of Copenhagen here and Stockholm here, they're trying to show me that actually they're pretty similar cities. Maybe Copenhagen is a bit more colourful. Of course, they both got a seafaring tradition. So Kristian has very kindly invited me along to the Vasa Museum, taking me around. And look, this is, so you remember he talked about the captain who went to the Zum Franziskaner pub where we went yesterday, where he went and had his last drink. And this is the ship. It was submerged for 333 years, and you can come and visit here in the Vasa Museum in Stockholm. Amazing. Not even reconstructed, it's actually been conserved. Wow. And the ship actually sunk on its maiden voyage just half a kilometre out of Stockholm harbour. So imagine, the Swedish Navy built this, all the resources that went into it, and then...
And our most popular tourist attraction is the biggest military failure of our history.
Start recording. So you know it's recording when there's a red light.
There we are.
Okay, very good.
Kind of bumpy.
Yeah.